And now on to animation, another one of my favorite aspects of Keynote. So here on slide 19, we have some instructions. It says use different drawing tools to trace over these images. Use the pen on the pen, the pencil on the pencil, change the colors to match the pictures. So there are two ways in Keynote to bring up the drawing functions. If you're using an Apple Pencil or an Apple Pen, by simply tapping on the screen, the drawing functions will reveal themselves in the center at the bottom. You'll also see a blue bar across the top that says drawing that will indicate to you that you are in drawing mode. Now, if you or your students do not have an Apple Pencil and you choose to draw with your finger or a stylus, you can absolutely still access the drawing functions. They're located in the Add Media option in the top right. So if I press on the plus sign in the top right of Keynote and I scroll over, not to table, not to chart, not to shape, but to media, you see at the bottom of these options, drawing and equations. So you can also type equations into Keynote, which is really useful. But I will select drawing, and that's another way for me to get to the drawing functions. So our instructions are to trace the pen with a pen. So you see here we have a pen, a pencil, a crayon, a paint tube, an eraser, a lasso, and a color palette. So I will tap on our pen tool. In order to change my pen color to black, I will tap on the pink circle, which reveals our color options. I think black will be good for this one, so I'll tap on black. You also have other options to create your own colors. So if I swipe right on the color palette, I can change my colors here, and I can even match colors that are already present in my slideshow. So by tapping on the eyedropper, I can drag across any color on my slide, and you see that now that color becomes an option in my color palette. But I think for the Sharpie, black will be fine. In order to change my thickness or opacity, I tap on the pen again. So you see here I can choose different thicknesses and different opacities of my ink. So here I'm just tracing over the picture as best as I can. And this function has been very useful for me in times when I either want to hone my drawing skills by learning how to draw something, or honestly, if I want to bypass the drawing skills, meaning I want to make something that looks nice, but I don't really want to take the time to learn how to draw it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I will move the drawing below so I can see it, and then I'm going to move on to the pencil. So for the pencil, I might use the eyedropper. So I'll tap on the eyedropper, and I think I want to use that exact yellow. I'll change my thickness so it's a little thicker, and I'm still good with 100% opacity. So that looks pretty good, but now what I see is that my pencil drawing has been grouped with my Sharpie drawing, and I don't want that because I want to move my pencil drawing below the pencil so I can see how I did. In order to do that, I'll tap on the lasso tool, which allows you to select different parts of your drawing. So I will select the pencil, and you'll see that when I close my selection, I see the format bar. So what we're going to do is select separate. By choosing separate, it has separated my pencil drawing from my pen drawing. And now finally, we will use the crayon for the crayon tool, and I think I want the exact color of the crayon, so I'll use our eyedropper again, and I'll tap on the waxy part of the crayon, and I'm good with, I'll go a little thicker this time. And you'll see that my pencil actually just skipped across the screen in the beginning, and that's because I probably have a little bit of finger oil or residue on my screen, so that's easy enough to clean. I definitely want my crayon to be separated from the pencil drawing, so just to be safe, I'm going to lasso my crayon and separate it from the pencil drawing so that I can move it below. Slide 20 says to turn down the opacity on the image below and trace it. When it is completed, add color to your image with any of the drawing tools. And I believe what photo should be here is the hibiscus, but this is a good opportunity for us to practice adding a photo. So here I am, I'm pressing on the plus sign, making sure I'm in the media option. I'll tap on photo, and here you see I can access my library. I believe this hibiscus photo was the photo that's in your attendee deck. So here I will select the paintbrush, and you'll see all the formatting options, and you'll notice that these formatting options are different for a photo than they are for a shape. So here under the image options, you'll see a couple of different things that we'll talk about in a later video. So for style, I'm going to turn down the opacity, and I think I will use the crayon, but I want to match the color of the hibiscus, so I'll make sure that that's an option. And it's actually matching the color of the muted opacity, so I will actually just select pink here. So you can see that by tracing a photo, it really makes your final product look really nice without you taking a ton of time to learn about fine drawing. Now, sometimes we want the students to actually take a long time on drawing projects, and that would be like the example that you saw during the keynote session where we had a video and we exported it to photo, and then we dragged each of those photos into Keynote and worked with a bunch of different collaborators in order to illustrate or animate those different frames. So there is a way to still work patiently and to hone patience rather through this drawing process. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now when I hit done, you'll see that my drawing is selected. In order to delete the photo, I have to make sure my drawing is not selected, so I'll tap anywhere on the screen to deselect the flower, and now I will tap only on the photo and I will delete it. Now our instructions say to record a short audio clip about our favorite local flower. Okay, in order to do that, we'll tap the plus sign, tap the media button, and here I'm going to tap on record audio, and I'll just talk about the hibiscus. One of my favorite flowers is the hibiscus. I love that it comes in an array of different colors. So here at this point, I've stopped the recording and we have the options to edit it or preview it, or if I'm happy with it, I can insert it by pressing insert on the top right. So I think that's okay. And you'll see that there's an audio button now, and this is what you press on to cue the audio, and maybe I'll move the button there. Slide 21 instructs us to outline the penguin drawing below, which I will add, and then to turn down the opacity of the drawing, not the photo, and to use the eraser tool to create the negative space on the penguin. So I will add in our penguin photo again. I'll move it to the center, and this time we're using the paint tool. So here I've tapped on the paint tool in my drawing options, and what paint tool does is it fills in any shape that you close. So I'm not picking up my pencil from the iPad screen, and I'm just outlining our penguin here, and maybe I'll include some of that shadow. Now as soon as I close the shape, you'll see that our penguin is not only outlined, but he's also filled in. So I will tap done, and remember that when I tap done on the drawing functions, our drawing will be selected, and I want to format the drawing. So I'm turning down the opacity by pressing on the paintbrush with the drawing selected, and you can see that my drawing can either become totally transparent or totally opaque. So I want it to be mostly opaque, but so that I can see just enough of the penguin below. I tapped back on the screen with my pencil, so it brought up my drawing tools again, and this time I'll tap on the eraser. When you tap on the eraser again, after it's selected, you see again options for different thicknesses. So I think for our penguin, I'll choose this middle thickness, and I'm just going to go in and erase some of my fill to create the negative space behind our penguin. I think I'll leave some of the border on his tummy so that I can tell that this white space is part of his fur. And that looks pretty good, so I will hit done. Remember, when you hit done after drawing, the drawing is selected, so I want to make sure I tap off of the drawing after I turn the opacity back up. And now I can delete the photo. And there is our penguin. Slide 22 asks us to take a selfie. So to take a selfie, you would press the plus sign, and under the media options, you would choose camera. You can take a selfie right in Keynote. You don't have to take it beforehand and have it in your photo roll. But since I already have a selfie in there, I will just add the one that I took last night. And now our instructions say, turn down the opacity, trace the drawing, and when we're done, delete the photo. So I think for myself, I'll use crayon, and I think I'll change the color to purple. I like purple. So here I go, tracing the outline of my face. And for those of you that were in the keynote session yesterday, this is how we made that video of all the different teachers in the Everyone Can Create video. And there's my nose and mouth, and maybe I'll give myself some hair and some of that. That looks pretty good, so I will hit done. Remember, my drawing is selected when I hit done. I will tap on the photo, delete it, and here's my drawing. But we're not done yet. Part of these instructions say to animate the drawing using line draw. Line draw is one of my favorite animations, and what it does is it animates your drawing in the same order in which you drew it. So if I tap on my drawing here, I see my format options come up, and I will select animate. I want line draw to build in my drawing, and what that means is I want line draw to animate my drawing into the slide. So from a blank slide, I want my drawing to appear. That's different than having line draw animate my drawing out of the slide. And that can also be very powerful. So after we complete animating this drawing, I'll show you a video that was created using the line draw build out. So it can convey a very powerful message depending on how you use these animations. But for our sake, we want to add build in. I'll select line draw, and because I use that animation a lot, it's the first animation option on the left. And that looks pretty good, so I will hit done. If I tap on the three dots on the top right while I'm in animation, you'll see that there's different options for the build order. So when you start to really play around with Keynote and you have multiple things being animated on a slide, you can change the order in which things animate. You can have things animate together. You can have things animate one after each other, or you can have things animate as the slide transitions. So you can get very creative with your animations the more familiar you become with Keynote and all of its functions. Okay, so that is it for our animation attendee deck, and just really quickly I will show you how line draw build out can send a very powerful message. So this is a video that I've created in Keynote, and I've also used Clips to add some of the intros and outros. Clips is another Apple iOS app. It's free, created by Apple, and it allows you to make pretty high quality videos in a very short amount of time. So using the line draw build out animation, I've tried to convey a message about how important it is to preserve cultural aspects of our history or our mo'olelo, our stories. So here is that video. So again, that video was made entirely in Keynote and stitched together within clips. So there is a ton of stuff that you can do with Keynote, far beyond just creating a presentation. So thank you so much for joining our Keynote session, and I hope you have fun learning and playing with Keynote. Please feel free to send me an email if you have any questions. I would be more than happy to work with you on any projects throughout the year.